You are listening to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit, where you will discover how to be fit, sexy, and energized, even if you are a busy mom. With your host, top female fat loss and hormone specialist, Dr. Michelle Sands.
Hey there, Dr. Michelle Sands here, and today I'm excited to be talking to a friend of mine and an all around great guy, Evan Brand. Evan Brand has a popular blog called notjustpaleo.com. He's also the host of a very informative podcast by the same name, Not Just Paleo. And Evan is a functional medicine practitioner, he's a nutritional therapist, a personal trainer, and he is an awesome all around guy. Evan is about to become a dad, so he is beginning to understand some of the interesting components that parenting brings to life. But what he's really, really good at, he's actually a very smart guy, and part of his intelligence he uses for figuring out what are some common chronic conditions that we see every day in people. And one of the things he sees a lot and he's kind of an expert in is adrenal fatigue, also known as stress, translate in normal people's terms to burnout. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about burnout and how that applies to us as moms and what we can do to avoid it and what we can do if we are burned out. So sit tight, listen to Evan. He has a soothing voice, and you guys are just going to fall in love with him too. So sit tight, enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit. We're here today with Evan Brand. Evan is one of my favorite functional medicine practitioners who has a great blog called Not Just Paleo. So if you haven't been over there yet, please go over there and check it out. But today we have Evan talking about something that, well, he's kind of the go-to guy for. We're going to talk about burnout and stress. So as moms, it's kind of hard to avoid stress, and it's really hard to avoid burnout. But probably the last thing we want to do as moms is get totally burnt out because we need to be there for our families. So Evan, burnout, it's a big topic nowadays, and not just for moms, but for everybody. So how do you know if you are heading in that direction? How do we know if we're getting burned out?
Hey, Michelle. Well, thanks for having me first. And the first thing that people notice when they start to get burned out is their sleep starts to get messed up. So whether they are waking up and they're not feeling refreshed or they're just having trouble actually falling asleep and staying asleep, that is sort of the first symptom to look for. And most people, and moms included, because I work with a lot of moms, I know this, what they'll do is they'll just up their coffee intake a little bit, right? So now they're going from 8 ounces a day in the morning to some giant thermos of 16 ounces of coffee a day, which actually further depletes the minerals and vitamins that your adrenal glands need to actually keep you stable.
Okay, awesome. So if you are starting to lose sleep, instead of turning to that coffee, what might you try to do if getting more sleep is not an option?
Yeah, well, the first step in terms of like clinical application is just to actually get a measurement for your adrenal hormones, because at a certain level you can't fix what you can't measure or what you haven't measured. So if you're depleted, then you need to know that. So you don't just want to blanket throw in a supplement. So I always say the first step is actually get some data that's going to show you on a piece of paper, because sometimes women and men can be as equally stubborn and say, I'm fine. And, I find a lot of women are more open to accepting the idea that something's wrong, where men want to ignore that something's wrong until they're having a heart attack, for example. Women are a lot smarter in terms of taking action when they know something's wrong. So get the data, and then once you find out what your adrenal levels actually are, you can start adding in the right supplements and nutrition to tweak that back into the optimal range.
Okay, awesome. So for our viewers who may not know what the adrenal glands are, can you give us a little explanation of what those are and how that relates to stress?
Totally. So your adrenal glands are these little walnut-sized glands. They sit on top of your kidneys, and they are a two-part system. So you have the adrenal cortex, which is sort of the inside of it, if you will, and then you have the adrenal medulla, which is the outside. Now, the different pieces of the adrenal gland secrete different hormones. So a lot of women know about cortisol already. They think cortisol is this evil hormone that causes them to gain belly fat and things like that, which that's very true. However, cortisol is necessary to get you through your life. So if you're low all the time, you're going to have just as big, if not bigger, issue being low as you are high. Many women start out high and they end up low. So these different hormones secreted by your adrenal glands help you get through life. So somebody cuts you off, you got the baby in the back of the van, and you get pissed, right? You get mad. Somebody cuts you off. You're flicking them off. You're in that fight or flight mode. Now you're ready to go. And you've secreted some adrenaline and likely some cortisol to deal with that situation. And that's fine. That's how the body's supposed to respond. But when you're constantly being cut off, or you have bills, or you have financial stress, you have marriage stress, you have nutrient deficiencies, these all count as chronic stress that wears out these adrenal glands, the stress bucket. So then you turn to coffee, you turn to sugar and other stimulants to keep you going in an unsustainable way. And then eventually you either get sick because when your adrenal glands get taxed, it lowers your immune system. So you're somebody who's got the year-long sniffles, things like that. These are just some of the minor dysfunctions that happen in the beginning stages.
So what happens is you're saying that your adrenal glands just get overtaxed from that constant stress happening, whereas they're just made to handle, well, the van, when you're in the van and someone cuts you off, like that's a good response to that stress because you need that adrenaline. It is like a dangerous situation. But when you're in your head thinking about, stress at work and relationship stress, or you're in your body and you have some kind of food intolerance or something going on, that's causing that same response to happen over and over and over again. Is that what you're saying is happening?
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you brought up food intolerance because that's a kind of a hidden stressor for people if they don't pay attention to, say, if they are still eating gluten and they're getting exposed to these wheat proteins that's causing inflammation in the body, that's going to create an emergency response too. So anything and everything that engages that sympathetic, that go, 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 fight or flight mode of your nervous system, being in that mode for too long wears yourself out. We're designed as humans to be chilled out 99% of the time, and 1% of the time a tiger's supposed to come in front of us and it's going to scare us, and we're either going to run from it or we're going to kill it and have a good dinner that night. And modern life is we're stressed 99% of the time and we relax 1% of the time. And that is part of the huge reason that so many women and men are suffering from different chronic diseases out there today.
So I know a lot of the moms watch here and thinking, well, their stress is not something it's something that's just going to be day to day because they've got kids running around and things like that. So is there a way to handle the stress better if you're going to be in situations that might be stressful? Is there techniques that people can learn to maybe handle that better so they don't cause this type of burnout to occur?
Yeah, so yoga is a big one. I practice yoga with my wife sometimes. It's fun, it's relaxing. It helps to turn on that parasympathetic, that rest and digest mode of your nervous system. Meditation's a huge one, so you don't have to sit there in the standard pose with your fingers all perfect on your lap. Meditation doesn't have to be like that. If you want to go on a walking meditation where, I'm just trying to appeal to the stereotype here, but you have the big dual wide baby stroller and you're walking two kids down the street, you could be in a walking meditation at that time where you're just sort of daydreaming, you're getting the sunshine, you're getting the fresh air, things like that. So it doesn't have to be a strict science. It could just be doing something you enjoy. If you like knitting, then go knit. If you like drawing, go draw. If you like, you want to do something fun with the kids where you guys are all building something together, then do that. It's anything and everything that just takes your mind off of the world that is healthy. That is a good thing to do to help you not burn yourself out.
Yeah, that's excellent. I actually, like the walking is something that totally resonates with me, just getting outside in nature. I think finding what that is for you is like super important. And like from young age, I lived in a crowded house with a lot of people yelling and screaming all the time, and I would just go for a walk, and that would make me feel good. And so I learned that back then. So I think that's true. Like maybe some people don't like to walk, but if they like to knit or they like to draw, then that's a great outlet for that stress release. So I think
I'm sure there's something that people are listening right now, and there's something that they used to do when they were a kid, and they hit this age and they've grown up And now they think they're too old to do that. Now, besides trick-or-treating, pretty much everything else is still fair game. So go do it. If you want to jump on a trampoline, whatever it is, you want to jump in the pile of leaves, you're still more than welcome to do that stuff and to live a little bit.
Awesome. So we talked about sleep being an indicator of possible burnout. Are there any other indicators that people might notice? If they're still, sleep is not, maybe they're so exhausted that they're just sleeping really like a rock, but there might be something else that they can look for.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of physical symptoms, you could have the bags under your eyes. You could have that puffiness under your eyes. You may experience that midday slump, that 2 to 3 p.m., 4 p.m. slump where you have a craving for either caffeine or sugar to artificially boost yourself back up. You could have even addictions that drive your brain to try to stay awake. So social media addiction is sort of one that I've been seeing in the clinic lately. I ask about people that once I have their lab results, I dig in deeper, and I found a direct correlation between people that are addicted to Facebook or Instagram to people that have burnout. So the brain loves novelty. So if you're constantly searching for that next new picture or that next thing, or you have the fear of missing out of these things on social media, that's going to be another big driver that's going to shut you down. So what's my advice for that? Who cares what everybody else is doing? Focus on what you're doing, and I promise you're going to be more successful and happier.
That's interesting. But yeah, I think a lot of my mom clients, they have that snacking, that late afternoon snack craving, that's always a clue that something's not quite right, because they're eating their full meals, but they're still never satisfied. So that's always an indicator for me. So you talked briefly about, so someone can go test for this adrenal issues. What does that test look like? And could they go to their doctor and get it, or how do they do that?
Most of the time they're going to have to go to a functional medicine practitioner like myself where they're able to get this lab test, because most conventional doctors, which I'm not a doctor, but most conventional doctors don't even know what this test is. And the truth is that it's not covered by insurance most of the time because it's more of a functional medicine lab. It's more of kind of a futuristic lab, for lack of a better word, and it provides more important data. And the way I do it is I send it directly from the lab to the client's house. They do it at home. This particular test we've been talking about is a 24-hour hormone panel where they just spit into different tubes at different times of the day. So you wake up in the morning, you take a measurement then, you progress through your day, and you take a total of 4 measurements. And that also looks at your estrogens, and that looks at cortisol and melatonin. Now, the way it's supposed to look is you're supposed to have your cortisol levels highest in the morning. It's like you're at the theme park and you're on the roller coaster. You want to be at the biggest, tallest hill you can be on, and you're going to start there. Now, that way you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to come slowly down or maybe fast down that hill, and you're just going to progress through your day. Now, what happens with a lot of people is they're on a backwards roller coaster where they start their day low on cortisol. They're exhausted. They're a slow starter in the morning. That's another key symptom. They can't get going until they get that coffee. So then they kind of boost up from that coffee or that bagel, and then they crash, and then they boost up and they crash, and it's just like a little crazy roller coaster. That's not how you want it to look.
I see. Interesting. So it seems like they could, as simply as spitting in some vials, they could figure out the problem. It's as simple as just a little spit. That's amazing. And yeah, I totally agree with what you said about a lot of times you'll go to your doctor and they won't even acknowledge this test. It's unfortunate. I'm a naturopathic doctor, so I'm on the natural side. And what I notice in traditional or conventional medicine is that they're there to help you, but unfortunately their tools are prescriptions and surgery. And you're not dying, you're just not feeling your best, and that is not something that most doctors deal with, unfortunately. It's not covered by insurance. Like, we're going to keep you alive, but feeling your best is not that important to the traditional medical community. And so, yeah, it's great to have practitioners like yourself who do want people to feel their best. And that's what this is all about. That's what this whole conference is about. It's about looking great, feeling great, and being happy. And I think that if you're burnt out, there's no way you can be happy or feel good or look good. So,
yeah, totally agree.
Awesome. So where else can people, if people are more interested in getting a test like that or learning more about whether a test like that is needed, where can they go? Or is there someone they could reach, or can they reach out to you to find more information about that?
Yeah, so I wrote a whole article. We've kind of been alluding to adrenal fatigue this whole time. And people can go to my website if they just search, if they go to notjustpaleo.com or if they just search my name, Evan Brandon, Google, you'll find it. But I wrote an article on there about adrenal fatigue, a huge list of symptoms, a huge list of why this happens. I paint the full picture, the stages, how you start out feeling good and then you start to feel like crap and you start gaining belly fat and things like that. So all that's outlined. I think that article's been shared like 2,000 times. So it's tested and proven that people love it. If they just go to the website and they type in adrenal fatigue in the search bar, they'll find it. And it talks more about testing options and stuff like that. And they can just contact me directly if they want to. It's the funnest piece of the puzzle that I've ever found with helping people. I mean, if you get that straightened out, and then you start working on digestion and your other symptoms, it's amazing what can happen with your health.
So does someone have to worry about how far along they are? Like, let's say they've been burnt out you get someone who just feels like they're starting to get burnt out versus maybe the mom who has 3 kids and she's been burnt out since that first child came. Are they too far gone? Is there still help? Can they get back from that?
If you're alive, it's never too late. The only thing that changes in terms of how long you've been burnt out, which will be identified on your, so get this, let me throw in this little clinical nugget here that's pretty interesting. So a lady came into the clinic last week and she thought that she had been burnt out for 30 or 40 years. She's in her 50s. So we run the test on her. She comes back and she's perfect. I mean, she's better than some of the 20-year-old clients that I have. Now, she's not outputting as much as I would like her to, but her actual rhythm is pretty darn good. And I have some 26, 27-year-old CrossFit clients that are also moms, and they're totally burnt out and taxed. So just because you think, oh, I'm old, I'm ruined, I'm an old geezer, I'm never going to get better, that's not true. Just depending on what your lab shows, the only thing that's going to change is potentially the number of supplements and nutrients that you might need to replenish what's been lost and the duration that it's going to take you to get better. So if you're just starting to go down that fatigue rabbit hole, it may only take you a few months to get better. Now, if it took you 30, 40 years to finally reach out and ask for help, then it may take you 6, 9 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. It just depends on how dedicated you are and how compliant you are to dialing everything in.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I was 23, I started feeling horrible, and I was a long distance runner. I was an Ironman triathlete, and that's how I deal with stress. Like I said, I went out for a walk while I went out for a run, and some of these runs were really long, and I didn't know what it was until I found a functional medicine doctor and started learning about all of this, and I had the hormones of like a 50-year-old woman at the age of 26. So I credit this type of functional medicine, these type of tests, to even my ability to become a mom. Because at that age of 26, my hormone output was horrible. My sex hormones were like a 50-year-old woman. So there was no way I was going to be able to be healthy enough to live my life in a healthy way and support another life. So yeah, it's super important for moms to, especially if you're feeling this burnout and you want to have another child for fertility reasons, it's super important. And just for your life, your quality of life. It's amazing how just like a little spitting in a tube test can tell you so much information, and then things as simple as doing yoga or just relaxing can make so much of a difference. So I just think that more people need to know about this. And it's a testament to how important it is and how many people are burnt out. When you said that blog post on your website had over 2,000 hits, I mean, that means people are searching for answers.
Yeah. And you alluded to something that's really great, and it's another key symptom is that you have a messed up sexual health. So your libido is going to be poor. And that's a huge relationship stress in itself, right? I mean, you want to be able to have a good sex life with your spouse, and when your body is stuck in this sympathetic mode, all of these hormones, for people that aren't watching, I'm just kind of using my hands, but at the top of the chain, your body is sort of funneling all of these different hormones into this cortisol pathway so that you can make more stress hormone, because right now, the tiger, the bill, the boss, the traffic, whatever it is a more important and more dire situation to deal with than having sex and reproducing. So this other channel here, this other branch, where your sex hormones would normally get produced, that whole section gets turned off. So all you're doing is you're producing cortisol, you're storing body fat, and your sex drive is very, very poor. So once women begin to, almost like a diversion from the power plant, once they start enabling their bodies to turn the power back on to their sex hormones, their libido improves, they're able to burn fat, things like that. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I think it's a huge part of the puzzle that, people think stress is only in their mind and it's only a mental thing that they can just tough through, but they don't realize all the different effects it's having in their body. Just it trickles down to so many different areas that are seemingly unrelated, but they are so related. So,
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, you have a free gift for our viewers who are watching today that also has to do with stress. You have some tools for them to use. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So this is a book that I wrote. It is my second self-published book. It's called Stress Solutions. It's Hack Your Stress, Calm Your System, and Take Charge of Your Life. That's the subtitle. So this is a free book that everybody listening will get access to. I sold this book for a long time on my website as an ebook program for $27, and I decided, you know what, I would rather just get this thing to more people. So the $27 really isn't that important to me, so I'm giving it away to everybody free, and they can get it at the website. And it's basically broken down into what are the different sources of stress? Why does this happen? What happens to your body? And then what do you do about it?
Oh, awesome. So it's a whole recap for them, and basically gives them solutions too. So that's definitely what everybody wants nowadays. They want to understand what's going on, but they really want the solutions. So that's awesome. Thank you so much. So thank you, Evan, so much for being here today. I think you really shed a light on what burnout is and how to deal with it. And really appreciate it. And everyone, you can go down under the video that you're watching right now and you can grab that free gift that Evan has, his Stress Solutions ebook. So thank you so much, Evan.
Thanks for having me, Michelle. It was fun.
Thank you. You too. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you received a lot of value out of this interview. I know that I did. I want you to open up to the possibility of making this new year the greatest opportunity that you have had so far to improve your life. This is about breaking out of paradigms. It's about learning the art of living. It is about honoring who you are as a woman as you discover who you are as a mother. It is about taking care of your body, mind, and spirit so that you can take better care of your family and be a shining example, a role model for your children so that they can grow up to be healthy, happy, and successful. I promise to continue to bring you educational, empowering, and inspiring content to help you achieve the body that you dream about and the life that you are meant to live. Stay tuned for more value-packed interviews and be sure to check out all the resources on my website, metabolicmama.com. Until next time, wishing you a happy, healthy, hot day. Take care, mamas.